Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another Path of Exile 2 video, and I'm currently wearing a pretty cool shirt that my editor sent me. Here, let me show you. Check this out, boys. My editor sent this to me, and we actually have a bunch of cool Minion limited edition shirts available on our merchandise shop as a result. So big shout out to my editor. Thanks so much, Kikis. I love this one. Anyways, this video, I'm going to show you guys how to guarantee +3 or +4 level of minions on your scepter. Now, again, crafting videos right now is a little rough to do. I don't have the currency to do it in game, so I'm going to talk about this theoretically, and maybe some of you guys won't be able to follow this because it is quite hard to show, not be able to show you every step along the way. However, I've been talking to Nebuchadnezzar. He's the guy who makes craftofexile.com website. In PoE 1, you can click on the emulator, create item. Let's just take a glove, for example, intelligence. You can then click proceed, and in here I can literally just play around and just craft and practice crafting the item. Oh, maybe I'll put a divining on this. Like, no, I want to null it. You can practice crafting in here, which is on the website, which is fantastic.
Give me those drops.
They have this for the emulator in PoE 2 as well, but it's not updated yet. It's coming in the next couple of days, I hope. So there's two major things that you need to learn when it comes to crafting in Path of Exile 2. In Path of Exile 1, there's a river, there's an ocean filled with things you have to learn, which is why PoE 1 is so hard to learn when it comes to crafting. Now, PoE 2 is very straightforward because it's mainly two different topics you need to learn. And it's just a matter of time before Path of Exile 2 will get more and more crafting methods becoming just as complex as Path of Exile 1 when it comes to crafting. And the reason I'm telling people that it's very important to learn now is because if you understand the things I'm about to show you, learning the new things that they will introduce to you will become much easier. Learning how to craft in any of these two games will open up a whole new world of playing the game. You will have an easier time of understanding what's valuable on the ground, like blue and white items, bases, and you can even craft the items for selling them for even more profit. You will be able to have an easier way of determining how to craft your specific items. Now, I've already made one showing gloves. That video is explaining the methods of these things, which allows you to basically craft anything. I'm going to show this again, but on a scepter. And I know a lot of you guys are just looking at these videos saying, hey, just show me what to do. Click on this, click on that, and then I'm done. So I'm going to try to explain this the best way possible, and I will make a third video on how to craft once the emulator is ready, so I can show you visually in front of you how to do it, and you can practice crafting. You can't do that right now, but I'm going to try to do it the other way. So first off, we take a rattling scepter. That is what most minion builds are using. Let's say you have a rattling scepter. The item level should be based on what the level of minion gems, which is over here, because the item level, you need to be 78 or higher to be able to roll +4. Now we know that information. You want a rattling scepter of item level 78 and higher. The other thing you want to point out or want to figure out, well, focus on here is the tag. So if you look on the left-hand side, we have mana, has a mana tag. The allies in your presence deal flat additional attack cold damage is tagged with damage, elemental, cold, and attack. The reason these things are important is because of the homogenizing omen. When you use an homogenizing omen and then exalt an item, the exalt modifier that you get from exalting the item will share a tagged family tag, basically. So if I have the mana and I were to exalt slam, let's say the item is blue, it only has mana, and I use homogenizing regal omen, it will guarantee add a modifier that has a mana tag on a rattling scepter that is only going to add the mana regen or the mana percent regen, or the light radius hybrid mana regen. So those two would be the only outcome. Now, in this case, this has weighted mod pools. That's basically the percent chance, or not percent, but that's the odds of rolling this. And as you can see, these are even lower. So the higher probability is that you're going to get the percent increased mana regen instead of this. But you can get one of these two modifiers. That's that process. Now, understanding and knowing that, and some of these modifiers don't even have a tag. For example, for some reason, this spirit and hybrid flat mana doesn't have a tag, which means that wouldn't work with homogenizing omen. Same thing with spirit. So if we take an example where you take a high spirit scepter, and then on a second scepter, you have something like allies in your presence regenerate life. In this case, you can recom these two and have a rare scepter that has, I can actually do this, so it's pretty visual. So in this case, we can have allies in your presence, regen life, and spirit. So if I were to do an homogenizing exalted orb on this, it can't take any tags based on the spirit. It will take a life tag modifier. And if I see here on the life, there is no life prefixes. So if I did this process, it will add a life tag modifier, which in this case is going to be increased minion life. So now I guarantee adding this. So now we do that. Now we have the possibility of a minion tag. This is what we're trying to chase down. The minion tag exists on the minions have increased minion life, but there is no other minion tag except for level of minion skills. So if you have an item or a scepter that has allies in your presence have regenerate life and minions have increased HP, and you do an homogenizing exalted orb on it, it will guarantee a life or minion tag modifier. And on this item, the only modifier that has any of those tags is level of minion skills. This means that if you use a greater exalted orb, which has a minimum modifier level of 30 or 35, that means that level +1 and +2 cannot roll. A perfect exalted orb is level 50 and costs a lot. But since +3 is 55, it's not worth using. So you use a greater exalted orb, which is very cheap, and you will guarantee get either +3 or a +4 level of minion skills. That's how we guarantee a scepter with the +3, +4. So one of the two. Obviously, it's like 60% +3, 40% +4, something like that, give or take. That's approximately the numbers. But that's how you guarantee it. So, but you're going to end up with a scepter that has % increased minion life. You're going to have allies in your presence having life regeneration as a suffixes. And you can guarantee the spirit on the scepter if you did what I mentioned earlier. Take a 1 scepter with spirit and 1 scepter with either minion life or allies regen, and have like a bad tier because it makes the recon easier. And then just smack them together. And now you have a guaranteed spirit with regen, my life, and +3 or +4. That's how you can guarantee it. So what do you do with the next stats after this? Well, in this case, you can then obviously do just random slams. None of these will share tags if you have the scepter looking like this. So then the next step would be the possibility of using the desecration modifiers of the abyss crafting. So let's say that you're looking to get allies in your presence deal damage. Now, in my opinion, I would rather desecrate this modifier so I have this guaranteed instead of adding a mod, homogenizing, slamming it, and then removing the desecrate to change it to something else. I would just do this because once the item looks like this, you're fine. Like this is a great weapon, like a fantastic weapon. It's not very expensive to craft. However, if I were to do an homogenizing exalt for the last modifier now, it would not be able to take these tags, but it will take the damage tag, and I will end up with either cold, fire, lightning, or physical damage. That is exactly the process of what would happen if I were to homogenize exalt this, which means I don't get the hybrid spirit, I don't get the chance of hitting mana, and I don't get the chance to hit the accuracy. So it's up to you what you want to do. In most builds that we see right now, we would either prefer the spirit hybrid, or we'd like the physical for the attacks, because the attack lightning doesn't apply to the spells cast for power zealots, for example. So that's kind of like the process. So in most cases, you might just want to slam it and pray you get the spirit. Now, if you want to do this type of craft when it comes to desecrating it, I'm going to show you or talk about that as well. Apparently, if you put a desecrated mod on an item, it becomes a veiled mod. Basically, you don't know what it is until you throw it in the well. That still counts as a modifier, and that cannot be fractured. So if you do this, you can put... let me remove this. And we can skip the spirit, for example, or we can keep the spirit, doesn't matter. But let's do that. We have a clean scepter. You've just done the deterministic crafting of getting the level of minions. There's 3 mods. You can desecrate your item, and before you unveil what that desecration just did, you can fracture the item, and it can't hit that desecration, which means that instead of a 25% chance of fracturing the minion skills, you now have a 1 in 3 chance of fracturing your minion skill, which would allow you to annul these and then craft it even bigger with attack speed and stuff like that by using desecration modifiers. For example, you can, in this case, out of curiosity, like just as an example, if you have a fractured minion skill, you can actually just annul it off, and then you could put the desecrate suffix and use re-roll that till you hit caster speed. And if you hit caster speed, which is cast speed for your minions in presence, and you look at the tags, is there any caster mods? No, there's not. Speed mods? No, there's only attack speed. If you did that and then you do it homogenizing suffix exalted, you now have a chance of hitting minion gem, which means either minion life or attack speed, as an example. So there are ways of doing this to kind of like push the crafting into a certain sequence, but some crafts will have 50-50 between two different type of modifiers, depending on how you approach this. But again, I'm not going to go into detail with all the different variations of how you can craft this, but that's how you deterministically guarantee +3 or +4 on a scepter, and understanding how this tag system works. And the omens are obviously included there, because there's omens that allows you to have the exalt that you're going to do will only add a prefix, or this will only add a suffix. And obviously the homogenizing omen is how we approach this. There's an homogenizing for exalt and for regals, so if the item is blue, you can still do that. You can also use essences, and the desecration is really good. So for example, if you have this, like I mentioned, if I want to make sure that I slam this one or the life, I could desecrate till I hit this modifier, and then once I've done my exalted orb, then I can remove the desecrate with omen of light and then put something else on. So that's a bunch of different things you can do, but learning the omens and learning the tag systems is how you're going to be able to craft literally anything in the game. That's all I have for you today. Make sure you hit like button, subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you guys in the next ones. Until then, stay safe, keep rocking.